Now we're winding down the day. As we've said, it's been a very long day. And just a quick reminder, we had the morning start with talking about open data revolution. And I think that we all agree that it was a really good opening session. And one of the things that happened was that there was a discussion about having all the data, not only for the government, but also for the private sector, the civil society to open up. But there were also concerns, of course, about the privacy issues. But our sister Nana was talking about the fact that, if maybe we could make data, open data for money available, well, it's not a crime. It shouldn't be criminalized. And I can see that this has taken on a tone throughout, and it's been a good discussion for that. Going on, of course, we've had a lot of discussions at that session about some of the lessons learned, including how data became very relevant in the Nigerian elections. We also heard a little bit from COSTECH in Tanzania about how it's creating innovation and new jobs for the young people, and COSTECH is providing that platform for them. After that, we had the opening plenary, which I'm sure is very memorable, and I'm hoping that all of you got some photos to take home with you, as we had His Excellency, the President of the United Republic, open up our conference. And it was a very inspirational, I think, opening, because it talked about a number of things, including the fact that open data makes change possible. Data as it is does not probably bring around change, but open data makes that change possible. That was the most famous quote from our president, and it has been tweeted and retweeted a lot on Twitter. I can see that it really got a lot of hits and really resonated with a lot of people. Dr. Bird from the World Bank has been talking about the challenges that still exist, as there's more and more data that is still needed. But of course, Tanzania, and the reason for the Africa conference to happen here is the fact that Tanzania has been a pioneer, starting with the OGP, the Open Government Partnership, and the fact that it has taken a pioneer role in opening up data. And President Kikwete did talk about that, but he did raise also security concerns about the fact that not every data should be made available, and that there's some security issues that will remain outside the public sphere. But then, of course, he also talked about the importance of institutionalizing open government and open data, because open government partnership appears to be his personal initiative, but it has to be institutionalized. There's been a lot of laws that have been passed already, and steps have been taken. So just in a nutshell, the opening plenary had a lot of discussion around that. And after that, we were all able to take a look quickly at the expo outside. I'm sure that most of you have at least one or two favorite booths that you really liked, and we hope that you'll take the time. I just quickly looked at COSTECH, and I love the drones. So I don't know what is it that will attract you, but there's so many other things to see out there. After lunch, we continued with our sessions on the lessons learned, and there were 2 sessions on that. Most of it talked about lessons learned from other countries, what has happened. There's been a discussion about trust, about opening up data, but how do you open it up? And the other one has been mainly focused on how it has helped in development, talking about the sustainable development goals, and how it will be important in the formulation of these goals, but also in the monitoring of these goals. Because as we know, for those of us who are in the Addis meeting and discussing the data revolution, what is very important is not just having goals which are not measurable, which one cannot monitor, but to rely on data that is real time. And there's so much data out there from different agencies that can be taken and can be crunched and give out some real time data for everyone. The most, I think, interesting after that was the data demand session. And the data demand session was mainly interesting for many aspects, because the discussion was around what kind of data do people want. And I like the fact that the example from South Africa about the ghost workers. I think for those of us in Tanzania, we know that it's a nightmare. It's like every second year we hear about ghost workers and billions of shillings getting lost. So definitely people want to know who are these ghost workers, how can they be monitored, how can we catch people who are making money on this. But also there was a discussion around how it is relevant for drugs in medical area, how it's relevant in the education policy, although we were told that it wasn't a very big success in Nigeria. But of course, a good example is how in Nollywood, it is something that, could be making money, could be something that would drive the demand for data. Another interesting point that I found was how from Uganda we heard that the problem sometimes is the data is out there, but people are not engaging. And I think that from Tanzania, we heard that from Repoa, that the best example is if you make it user-friendly. You have to make it easy to read, you have to make it summaries more like, and the demand is there. But the most important part of that is to try to cultivate it. And of course, then we've just heard the keynote from our CAGs. So with that, I think we've done a great day. Don't you think so?